Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is August 2nd, 2026. And ladies and gentlemen, another report confirming that Barcelona will not be making any signings if they can't bring Julian Alvarez. Also, Ferran Torres convinced of joining PSG. And finally, Victor Osimhen available for 75 million euros. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Boo, and I do apologize about not making any videos yesterday. I had an incredibly long and crazy day, but don't worry because today I'm uploading 2 videos, this one and then another one afterwards. And once you're done watching both videos, you're going to be all up to date in regards to our beloved club, the greatest club on earth, Football Club Barcelona. All right, let's begin with the news because, ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea have closed the door on Barcelona yet again in regards to João Pedro. Now, as you know by now, João Pedro, the Brazilian attacker who's currently playing for Chelsea, was someone at Barcelona seriously considered signing to replace Robert Lewandowski. In fact, Deco even traveled to London to meet with the player and his agent. However, Chelsea closed the door in Barcelona's face, stating that João Pedro is not for sale, that he's untouchable, that he's absolutely key for their project. And well, now the door has been closed again, or I guess since the door was already closed, we could say the window was closed. But pretty much this is not happening because now Chelsea are very close to extending the contract of João Pedro, where they're going to not only raise his salary, making him one of the highest paid players on the London-based team. They're saying his salary is going to be close to that of Cole Palmer's. So they're definitely going to make him the highest paid player next to Cole Palmer on the squad. But they're also going to be extending it until 2032. In other words, completely shielding the player from any interest from other clubs, including that of Barcelona. So that's another option off the table for the club. Of course, we also had the option of Krupi, but Bournemouth also said he's not for sale. Plus, Krupi just underwent surgery and he's going to be out 4 to 5 months. So João Pedro and Krupi completely off the table. And of course, both players were seen as option Bs, as great option Bs in case Julian Alvarez does not come to the club. Now, speaking of Julian Alvarez, we do have an update in regards to the Argentine. And while this update comes from Ramon Besa, because it's reported that Barcelona will not be making any signings in case the Argentine does not come to the club. Now, of course, Julian Alvarez remains Barcelona's #1 priority to replace Robert Lewandowski. Barcelona have made an offer worth 100 million euros for Julian. That offer was set to expire at the end of July, but now Barcelona have changed the deadline to August 10th because August 10th is when Julian is supposed to report to the preseason with Atletico de Madrid, and Barcelona kind of want to see what's going to happen. Is Julian going to make another public statement? Is Julian going to refuse to show up to the preseason? So Barcelona, for now, keeping their offer alive until August 10th, and then they're going to see what to do. But of course, as I told you, I think it was a week or 2 ago, reports came out stating that if Barcelona cannot sign Julian, they will not be signing anyone. And well, today, another reporter, Ramon Besa, someone who's very, very reliable in Barcelona, someone who doesn't usually peddle in rumors or speculation, someone whose information is usually spot on, has confirmed what I told you guys about a week ago, is that if Barcelona cannot sign Julian, they're not going to bring anyone else in. Why? Because even though Barcelona do have a list of alternatives, none of those alternatives Barcelona considered good enough. You know, of course, there was Krupi, who Barcelona thought he had a lot of potential, but there was kind of like doubt about his age and paying 100 million for someone that young. But that option is off the table since Bournemouth don't want to sell him, and since, well, he's been injured. There was João Pedro, who Barcelona really, really wanted. But of course, as I told you a few moments ago, Chelsea are about to renew him. So out of the other alternatives that are left, Barcelona don't consider that any of those alternatives are good enough to replace Robert Lewandowski. And what do I mean replace Robert Lewandowski? We're talking about, a player that can come and give you 30 goals per season, right? And none of those options the Barcelona consider can give you those numbers. And, well, if they cannot sign someone that can, fill the role, might as well not sign anyone. And now, of course, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Julian, because it's reported that Julian and his family have once again informed Atletico that they don't want to go back to England. So the whole trying to sell him to Arsenal is not going to happen. So at this point, the only two options for Julian is either Atletico Madrid sell him to Barca, or he's going to have to stay at Atletico Madrid and apologize to the fans or something, right? Or Atletico just risking having, a player who doesn't want to be there and whose coach doesn't want there. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But just know that if Julian doesn't come, Barcelona will not be signing anyone in his place. Now, speaking of strikers, let's talk about Barcelona's current striker, Ferran Torres, because it seems that the Barcelona attacker is fully convinced that he wants to join Luis Enrique's PSG. Now, Ferran Torres' contract expires next summer with Barcelona, summer of 2027. Barcelona want to renew him. They even offered him a contract renewal. Of course, they didn't want to do it until September to avoid financial fair play problems. However, Ferran Torres and his agent made some financial demands that Barcelona were not willing to meet. Because they wanted kind of like a salary kind of equivalent to someone, let's say, of Lewandowski's stature, which Barcelona did not consider Ferran had. And now, of course, that's when Luis Enrique's call came, where Luis Enrique convinced Ferran Torres to join a PSG, telling them that he is going to be important. Something, of course, that Ferran Torres felt like it's not happening at Barcelona, because after all, Ferran has never been a definitive starter at Barcelona. Yes, Flick counts on him, but he's always been kind of like a second option. Plus, Barcelona not willing to make him the starting center forward, or promise him to make that he's going to be the starting center forward this season now with Lewy at the way, and not willing to offer him that kind of salary. Ferran felt like maybe PSG would be a better destination for him, especially since Luis Enrique has always been a coach that has believed in him. In fact, it was Luis Enrique who gave him his debut with the Spanish national team. And given that PSG need attackers now, with Gonzalo Ramos gone to Milan, with Colomani gone to Juventus, and with Barcola soon to go to Liverpool, of course, PSG needed attackers. And well, Ferran Torres was a player that was on the radar, and it seems that Luis Enrique has convinced them to join PSG. So now it's reported that Ferran wants to finalize his future in the next week and a half. So it's expected that PSG will most likely reach out to Barcelona this upcoming week to try to reach an agreement with the club. Because as far as reaching an agreement with Ferran, well, that shouldn't be a problem. They're both in agreement. So it's just a matter of reaching an agreement with Barcelona. And I truly, truly hope that Barcelona don't just give him away, because, he did just score the winning goal in the World Cup. He is a World Cup winner. So Barca, please, or Deco, I should say, please don't screw this up. Get at least 50 million. And then, of course, we'll see what happens. But here is the big but. Of course, the question is now, if Barcelona cannot sign Julian and if Ferran leaves, what is going to happen, right? Because after all, we would be losing two attackers, right? We already lost Lewandowski. He just scored a double with Chicago Fire, and Ferran leaves. Would that be a problem? Well, we're gonna have to wait and see what Barcelona do, because for me, losing Ferran is not a problem. I think Ferran was never the Barca level striker that we needed in that number 9 position. He's a good substitute, so losing him, I don't think it would be a problem. I think we could always substitute him with someone else from the team, like Adeyemi, like Anthony Gordon, who can play in that position. So I'm not worried about losing Ferran, but I am worried about losing Ferran and not signing a number 9, because, of course, as I mentioned, if Barcelona cannot bring Julian, then we wouldn't have a center forward. And of course, this brings me to the last bit of news, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's reported that Victor Osimhen is available for 75 million euros. Now, the 27-year-old Nigerian striker is currently at Galatasaray, where he has scored 59 goals in 74 matches. And he is currently being linked to Tottenham Hotspur, where it's reported that Galatasaray are asking for 75 million euros from the Premier League team, which, of course, is a lot less than what was initially talked about at the beginning of the summer, where Reports were stating that Galatasaray would want something north of 100 mil. So this, of course, does change things, which begs the question, should Barcelona go for Victor Osimhen? Because right now the reports are saying that Barcelona are not interested in Victor Osimhen for two reasons. Number one, his incredibly high salary. His salary is 15 million euros a season. That's net, which means it will be 30 for Barcelona gross, right? And it's reported that Osimhen is not willing to reduce his salary, that he's only going to sign for whichever club that's willing to meet that salary or higher, of course. And the number two is, of course, his negative attitude and the problems that he causes in locker rooms. That's the two reasons why Barcelona don't want to sign Osimhen. But, of course, my question is, should Barcelona consider it now that it looks like Julian might not come and that Ferran is on his way out? Should Barcelona pay those 75 million for Osimhen, which would be less than what they would have to pay for Julian? I leave that question up to you guys. So let me know down below in the comment section. Anyways, that is all. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to upload a second video. So stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Viscarsa.